fighter in the world? Is Crawford in the world's best
yeah,
fighter?
I think. There are so many great pound-for-pound fighters: Canelo, Usyk, Lomachenko. I mean, certainly top 5, probably top 3, maybe even number 1. So Crolla's right up against it, but we know that, and he's not deluded. Anthony Crolla, he's been there, he's done it, he's seen it, he's done it all. He's fought for a world title, he's won a world title, he's tried to unify a world title. So him and Joe Gallagher know exactly what they're up against. I think they're excited, to be honest with you. I think that sometimes, as an athlete, I could imagine that you'll want to see what the best is like. It's going to be really difficult, and he's going to need a lot to go his way on Friday night. But he's in it to win it. He's in the shape of his life. Absolutely zero excuses. He'll never be in better condition.
Is this the most thankless task one of your fighters has ever taken on?
I mean, look, you've had some guys who have taken big leaps. Brook fighting Golovkin. Remember Darren Barker fighting Sergio Martinez. Brian Rose fighting Andrade years ago. But this is different in a way that he's a mandatory challenger. So all of those fights that I mentioned, they were voluntaries. They were, times where fighters have just said, "Yeah, I'll fight him." But Crolla chased Lomachenko. He got himself into a mandatory position where they couldn't say no. They don't want this fight, really. So it's a great opportunity for Crolla to go in there. Probably when, I wouldn't say they're underprepared, but they're definitely overlooking it. Definitely overlooking it. But he's going to have to be at a level he's never boxed at before to win this fight on Friday.
How much of a chance do you give him?
I'll give him a chance of a guy who's a world-class fighter, who's been in with the likes of Jorge Linares, who's beat quality fighters. Everything's got to go his way, and a lot's going to have to not go Lomachenko's way. But I rate Anthony Crolla as one of the best lightweights in the world, so, what can you do? So, if you're talking about percentage chance, I don't know. 10, 15%, something like that. But things have got to go his way in order to win this fight. But like I said, he's up for this, mate. I mean, I saw some criticism from British fight fans. Like, why is he? He got to a mandatory position. What was he going to do? Say no? Turn down this payday? Turn down this opportunity? Turn down this chance to just fight a great? I mean, talk about beat a great, fight a great. And he's in a great place.
You recently confirmed Usyk to You've got this brilliant fighter on your hands, Usyk. You're only ever going to get one chance at the heavyweight debut, so why take it?
I just think he was the perfect guy. I mean, we talked about the Povetkin fight, which I think was a good fight as well. I wanted someone big. I wanted someone active. I'm going to talk about active, not just in terms of his schedule, but in terms of in the ring. Putting pressure on Usyk, leaning on him, wrestling with him. And Takam is that guy. Takam is that guy who is heavy, who is big, who is strong, who has great work rate. I think it's going to tell us everything we need to know about where Usyk is as a heavyweight.
What is the long-term plan for Usyk?
To fight Anthony Joshua. That's what he wants. He's going to be the WBO mandatory. Joshua's going to have to fight him at some point. It's really more for Usyk to say when. It really should be after Takam. But my recommendation would be to have one more fight. And obviously, if Joshua fights Wilder, then there will be one more fight. But Joshua-Usyk is an amazing fight. I mean, two very skillful guys. It's almost like Holyfield Bowe sort of scenario. Undisputed cruiserweight world champion, going out fighting unified heavyweight world champion. It's a great fight.
His team described the fight as inevitable. Is that how you
Yes,
see it?
absolutely. Inevitable, not just because Usyk's going to be a great heavyweight, but because he's going to be mandatory. And Joshua's not about to vacate any belts, so Joshua's up for that fight. He's excited.
Is that a fight you think taking place in the UK or?
I think it's a UK fight, personally. It's a fight that can work in the US as well. But people talk about Joshua's move to the US. It's not a long-term plan. It's just an important market that we recognise, and the timing was right. And we want to go back and box in the UK. Joshua loves boxing there. There's other markets and other territories in countries that he wants to box in as well. But for now, it's New York on June the 1st, and we'll see if he can beat Big Baby Miller, and we'll see if Usyk can beat Takam. There's going to be no stroll in the park. He's a big threat, but so's Jarrell Miller. So was Alexander Povetkin, so was Vladimir Klitschko, so was Joseph Parker, so was Deontay Wilder. Now people talk about, cash cow, you don't want to put him in with anyone. Check their resume. There's been plenty of times in fights where my heart's been in my mouth. Joshua is learning. He's had 22 fights, and Usyk has had how many amateur fights? I don't know, over 200 amateur fights. Joshua had 40 amateur fights. But it's a great fight, a great matchup, and I want to see great matchups. But forget what I want to see. Joshua's the boss. He wants to fight the best, and Usyk is going to be right in line.
Two names you mentioned there, Joshua and Wilder. Wilder recently said he's not going to be fighting Joshua until at least 2020.
Yeah, disappointing. And we want that fight now. We want it straight after their two summer fights. And I think we all have an obligation to make that fight. And if they're not interested in making that fight in 2019, then it's a big shame. And that's the only fight after Miller that AJ wants. And you know, but I will say this: they've both got to win in May and June. And then, you know, there might be a few hairy moments in both those fights. So let's see him get a win, and we'll continue doing everything from our side to try and make it happen.
What does that say for the Wilder's credibility?
I don't know. You know, I'm not going to start bad mouthing. I think we've both done that enough to each side of the camp. I just believe he has an obligation, as we all do, to try and make this fight. It's the biggest fight in world boxing. It's the only fight in the heavyweight division. It's the undisputed heavyweight world championship. It should be a fight that everybody wants to make.
Honestly, Joshua, in that press conference just now, Bob Arum mentioned about the fighting Joshua.
Yeah.
Can you just elaborate on your response?
Yeah, well, he's the IBF mandatory, so he comes after the WBO mandatory, which is probably next year sometime. But he will, you know, if he has the WBO championship, still he will have to fight Pulev. And he doesn't have a problem doing that. You know, it's not the biggest fight in the world, but it's an obligation of champions to fight your mandatories. You know, Lomachenko's doing it this week. Bob's sulking a little bit because he didn't want this fight, and we forced this fight. We made this fight for Crolla. So, you know, it's an obligation of a champion to fight your mandatories.
Is there some tension between you two?
Not really. No, we get on great. He's been just slacking me off for 2 weeks. I don't know what's the matter with him. He got out hustled in this one, and I don't think he likes that. But Bob, listen, he's a legend. You know what I mean? He's 87 years old. If I'm even alive at 87 years old, I'll be jumping through hoops. So I learn a lot from him. Even sitting up there today, I learn a lot from him. He forgets most of what he says, but he's an excellent promoter. You know, he talks about, you know, we don't know much about promoting in the US. You know, and he's got this Picasso guy on ESPN in Lomachenko. No one's going to the show on Friday. No one's talking about the fight. So he can't be doing that good a job. It's not him. It's just America. It's just different to the UK. So if this fight, Lomachenko-Crolla, was in the UK, we'd have done 50 or 60,000.
Next week we've got Crawford-Khan. I know you didn't want that fight when it was first announced, but as we are now, as close to it as we are, how do you feel about it?
I think it's a very tough fight for Amir. We're behind him 100%. He's up against it. He has the skills and speed to hang with most people. It's just that he's up against a pound for pound top quality fighter in Crawford. He's got to be disciplined. He can't be engaging. He can't be. Crawford's turned into a spiteful puncher right now. So it's a tough fight, but we're behind him and hopefully he does the business.
There are very few who are predicting a knockout victory for Crawford. Where does that leave Khan and his future in the sport?
Look, we don't know if it's in the first round, if it's in the 11th round of a war, anything could happen. But he is fighting the very, very best. So losing to the very, very best is never a disgrace. But you know, hopefully he can do well in the fight.
Could this be his last fight, do you think?
But I think any fight can be someone's last fight. He's definitely in the back end of his career. But he has aspirations. He looks like he's had a great camp. He's a very driven individual. So I think everything will tell us what we need to know next Saturday.
Is Kelbrook on the card set still?
I think so, depending on how the fight goes. I mean, if he loses, it will never be as big as it should have been, and it could have been. So we need to make sure that, you know, that I want to see Amir win. If Amir wins, the Kelbrook fight's completely dead. But if he loses well, if that's even a way to lose, then that fight still exists, but it will never be the size of what it once was.
You were speaking earlier, you mentioned Kevin Smith getting involved in the Joshua undercard. Can you just elaborate a little bit about
that? Yeah, he wants to come back. He's going to have a world title defence on that card. Looking at Katie Taylor, Joshua-Usyk, Josh Kelly, making announcements next week on that card. I want him to fight Ramirez. You know, Bob seems to be up for that fight. Make that fight for October, November. It's number 1 against number 2. It's a big unification fight. Hopefully we can get it made.
What's the latest with Golovkin, Eddie? Because you had him phone mind up now. That's a performance.
Yeah, I mean, look. You know, firstly, we're involved in the show mainly on an undercard capacity. They're going to be making their own decisions, their own announcements. I think that's imminent. His date for June will be announced probably this week or early next week. And yeah, we'll be having a number of fighters on the card.
And what about Eddie and Whyte?
He'll be boxing in July. We're waiting on the WBC for a decision for the appeal that we've made regarding the mandatory position. We've got a few guys in line for July. He's ready to fight. Hopefully he becomes the mandatory for the winner of Brazil against Wilder. And then he finally gets his world title shot.
Will that be pay-per-view? And can you give us an idea of who the likely opponents could be?
A number of people. You know, there's a lot of people in the mix for that fight. All good heavyweight fights, and a big card as well. Potentially Chisora Parker. We'll see what happens next week with Chisora Gashi and Brown against Allen. Lawrence Okoli against Lebedev is a potential world title fight for that card. A lot of other big fights as well. So it'll be a big night.